Hi, this is Sherry from OurLifeHomeschooling.com. I am sitting here on my deck. It's the last week before we start school next week as of this recording. And someone gave us some peaches. We're doing a little bit of canning. We're kind of just enjoying the last of summer before we have to get back to the books. And for those of you who are starting out and maybe feel a little overwhelmed, I just want to share with you that as a returning homeschooler, I've been doing this. This will be our 11th year. It's the week before school, and I don't feel completely prepared. I feel this way every year. I start and I don't feel, I always have this feeling that I should be doing more, have more together, have everything figured out for what we're doing for the whole year. And I don't, because I have realized that starting a new school year is as simple as just opening the books again, sitting down, opening the book, picking up where you left off, and as you go, you figure out what works for you. I do plan. We have schedules, but when it comes to starting a new year, you don't have to have everything finished or everything put in place. You just have to start, and things will come. You'll get things together, you'll get ideas, and as you homeschool and as your day plays out with your kids, you find what needs to be tweaked and how you can fit different things in that you want to do. So if you are feeling like you don't have it all together, like you don't know what your map is for the year, you don't have it all planned, it really is as simple as opening a book and just getting started. Have a plan for math, for reading, and for writing. But have the basics ready to open on the first week. You're going to learn as you go and pick up momentum and figure things out. So I have another mom interview here today that I'm excited to share with everybody. This is my friend and my cousin, Lauree. Lauree and I did not grow up in close proximity to each other, but now that we're adults, we're both homeschooling, and I know very little about her homeschooling, so I was kind of excited to do this interview and to find out from her what she does. And I just really loved this interview. I felt like she shared her heart and she was transparent, and she comes from a background of no teaching experience, which she shared was intimidating for her, or kind of led to some insecurity. And I have put this out on different places on my blog that many of the best homeschoolers I have met have had no teaching experience. They just have a passion for their kids and they want to learn with them, and that's a key ingredient. And so Lauree is one of those people. I hope you'll really enjoy this interview. Hi, Lauree.
Hi.
Thank you so much.
That sounded weird. It kind of went out there.
Thank you so much for letting me interview you and for being willing to share part of your life with anyone that's going to be watching this. I really appreciate you doing it.
Sure.
So we know each other because we are cousins, and we didn't grow up together. We've lived, you live in Michigan and I live in Pennsylvania. We didn't grow up together. We didn't, we would just see each other at family reunions and things like that. So I don't really know a lot about your homeschooling experience other than knowing that you do homeschool. So I'm just excited to hear what it looks like for you. I've watched a lot of the things that you post on Facebook, and it just, I don't know, it looks unique, and some of the things you do just seem really interesting. You seem very actively involved in your community, and yeah, so I'm excited to hear more about what homeschooling looks like for you. but I will let you introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Lauree. My husband is Darren. Our daughter is Zoey. She's 9, just the one child. So we do live in Michigan. We live in the UP. Beautiful up here. We have the waterfalls. We have hiking. We have camping. We have, lots of outdoor places to go. So we're pretty blessed up here. We might get a hard winter once in a while, but in a hot day or two in the summer. But overall, it's a pretty great place to live.
Great, cool. So did you always plan on homeschooling? How did you end up to be homeschooling Zoey?
Well, we really hadn't planned on having kids at all. But once we had Zoey, then I knew I wanted to homeschool. I didn't grow up homeschooled. I personally only went through about 9th grade of high school, and then my family moved around a lot, and I never had a chance to finish. So I did my GED, and then I worked full time, and then I ended up going to college off and on a little bit here and there. I have an associate's degree, but not in teaching. But yeah, once I had a kid, I knew I wanted to homeschool, even though I had a positive public school experience.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what does homeschooling look like for you in your home with Zoey? Can you just give us a brief snapshot or?
Sure. And we stay pretty busy. So a typical week, we do tend to go September to June. This past year, we did finish up in May because she worked ahead. But we're night owls, her and I. So she has a 9 o'clock bedtime, but she reads till about 11 once she's tucked in. And so she still sleeps really well. So it can be anywhere between 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning before she even wakes up. And the same goes for me. So we don't really even kind of start our day till lunchtime. And so obviously homeschooling is great for that reason. I'm not having to get her up at 6:30 in the morning to catch a bus. So I think it would be miserable for both of us.
Yeah.
Every summer I do put a schedule together. We usually don't end up sticking with it, but I have kind of a direction to go then. We have, I have so many days that I want to do each subject. And so as long as we get that done, we're not real, this is from 10 to 11 and this is from 11 to 12 or anything like that.
Right.
And then we do have a weekly co-op. So on Wednesdays, we meet with our co-op from 9 to 12. So that's an early day for us. And then we go to the library after that. And that's our school for that day. As she gets older, then we'll probably have to do more schoolwork at home on that day as well. Mm-hmm. She is a book learner, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. If she can read it, she's happy. So you throw just a little bit of hands-on stuff in there. But if she can read about it, she's good. And that was my big focus. When she was about 3, we started with reading. And so by the time we started regular schoolwork at about age 5, there was a lot of things she could read already, even if she didn't necessarily understand it at that point. Right. But otherwise, we do homeschool 4 days, and it can be, she does have a desk, and she likes to sit at it. But we might be at the kitchen table. If it's nice in the spring or the fall, we might go outside on a blanket, at our picnic table. One thing I started doing last year is we started doing like destination teaching. So we would take our books and we would go to one of the state parks around here. So we have like Kitchitikipi, which is like, I don't know if it's the world's largest freshwater spring, something like that. But, they have picnic tables and things. So we'll sit there and, we'll go look at the fish and then we'll do our schoolwork outside there.
Yeah. Very nice for her to be able to go see some of all those different places. I think that's really cool. And I'm with you, what you said about your late day. I love that. I'm not probably a late day
Yeah.
person. I'm not a morning person either, though. I would call myself maybe a mid.
Yeah.
We start around, I mean, till I get things cleaned up, it's usually about 10 o'clock at least till I'm engaged in helping. But I love the flexibility too, that you can just kind of make it mesh with whatever works for you. And I think when the kids love learning, that it just makes all the difference, and you can enjoy that flexibility because then they're ready to just kind of hop into it and keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really cool. So you did already kind of tell a little bit, but what kinds of school would you say happens outside of your home?
A lot of the stuff we do is with our co-op. So we have field trips. We try to do a field trip once a month, even in the summertime. So we try to go year round as far as field trips. And in the summer, we try to meet once a week, and we just rotate the different local parks and meet there, do lunch, and the kids play and the moms talk. But yeah, we go up to Iron Mountain, which is like an hour from us. We can go up to Marquette, which is an hour from us. We can go to Munising, which is an hour from us, and we can do museums. We've got different theaters that we can go to. Green Bay is a 2-hour drive, but they do educational series plays during the school year. And so a show that would cost $30 to buy a ticket to on the weekend is $5 during the week if you go when all the public schools go.
Okay.
So it's worth the drive. But
yeah, that's interesting. Our co-op is very similar. We meet throughout the school year, but then in the summer, every week we are at different either state parks or local attractions in the area. And the kids have grown up kind of doing nature hikes, stomping through creeks, and every week with their friends, even through the summer, not just during the school year. And I love that. I love the connections they have, and just going different places with their friends, and seeing all the different state parks and different just local attractions, experiencing it with the group. And
well, like last week, we went with some of the families from our group to it's an outdoor sculpture place. So it's just this guy that he gets a bunch of junk from like a auto wrecking place or whatever, and he builds all these different statues. Some are political, some are, just random things, but it's all outside. I mean, they're like 2 stories high, some of these things. But it's his property, and there's a parking area and a pond, and you just walk the trails and look at the different sculptures. So
wow. And those are things that kids don't ever forget.
Yeah.
It's with them, and especially going places, I think, they really remember things when they go and experience things, out different places. Wow. So with all that's happening right now in our country with COVID-19, there's just a lot of uncertainty, and I think a lot of parents are being put in difficult situations, having to make difficult choices, and a lot of them are deciding to homeschool. Can you offer any advice? Do you have any tips you would give to someone who maybe is pulling their child out of school just for the year? Maybe even some of them are doing part-time school. The kids are in school part of the day, home part of the day. Can you offer any advice from your experiences in homeschooling?
Well, I mean, I've only homeschooled, but I would say definitely give yourself a lot of grace. You're gonna find out a lot of more things about your kids, because there's a big difference between a couple of hours between when they get off the bus and when they have to go to bed, between doing all the homework and everything. And you may know some things about your kids, but all that one-on-one time, you're really going to get to know them, and you're going to get to find out what your patience level is pretty quick. So But yeah, I mean, like we've told some other people in our area, we had a public meeting for those that were going to be interested in homeschooling this year to answer some questions. And you know, first off, we just always tell them, you know, what you did at the end of last school year with the online is not homeschooling. Like, that's not, there's so much more to it than that. There's the curriculum, and I mean, I guess also do seek out the local, most places, even small towns, have a local homeschool group of some sort.
Yes.
But yeah, seek them out, because local support is going to be your best. And if you can't find anything, then online is second best.
Yes, yes.
But,
Yeah, and I think that is the thing that I've noticed with a lot of parents who do distance learning or cyber schooling, I think, is that you don't really get to be part of the homeschool community, and you're not really part of the school community. You're kind of stuck in between. And, you know, from the people that I've talked to, it is hard to get into a homeschool co-op because of the times that they have to be online. They're required to be on there for certain times for their classes, and it's kind of limiting. And so you can end up,
that would be frustrating. I hadn't thought of that. So
yeah, like you're not part of, you know, one or the other. And yeah, if it's what works for your family, and if you have a great community, it may be a great option. But it does have its limitations, and it's in my opinion, it's missing some of the best parts of homeschooling, because it's pretty limiting. Yeah,
it's still regimented, and you're having to sit at a desk or sit somewhere quiet and put all your focus into this online class at that time.
Yeah. So what's your favorite thing that you do?
I mean, Zoey is a pretty easy kid to teach. So, I mean, right now it's kind of all enjoyable. Math kind of makes us cry, but otherwise,
I I'm not the only one.
we're switching to DVDs this year so that she's more independent with the math, because she likes math, but I don't like teaching math. So, but I asked Zoey what her favorite thing was that we did homeschooling, and she just said science. So I was like, oh, okay. So that wasn't what I expected her to say, because she loves her grammar that she does, and we do geography as like an extra thing, and she likes doing that. So, but I mean, it's just the one-on-one time. I love spending time with my child.
Yeah.
And I love being able to, if she's struggling with something, to be able to just take 5 minutes, explain it, watch it click, and then be able to move on without having to cover one thing for 6 weeks. So.
Right. And to see that you can take the time for them to get it and not have to move on to the next thing, which really does happen a lot, I think.
Yeah.
When you don't have that freedom with that homeschooling gives, they have to just moving on, and they don't get a chance to master that concept. Something else you said, just the one-on-one time. I think I was surprised. I don't know if you felt this way, but I was surprised at how much I really just liked learning with the kids. We would we start discovering things together, and we would have questions about different things, and we look it up, and it's just this kind of this culture you have of all these things you've learned and experienced together, and it was just really rewarding for me personally. I really enjoy that part of it. Yeah.
So I feel like there was something I was supposed to, it's like we go over stuff, and I'm like, all right, I know I had to have learned this stuff when I was in school, but I don't remember having learned any of it.
Yeah.
But so it feels like I'm learning it all over again. Right. And I was a good student, but it just, all that stuff gets pushed out. So, I mean, that's another thing, I guess, with parents that are maybe coming new into homeschooling, don't stress that they have to know everything and remember everything, because how much of it do you remember, So,
The key is that they love to learn, because you
yeah.
can have missing pieces to your education, but if you love to learn and you're a lifelong learner, then
Mm-hmm.
you're not missing anything, because
Right.
you'll want to find out about it. You'll want to find out what you missed about, certain part of history that you never got or whatever. You'll be curious about it. And so, yeah, getting them to enjoy learning and enjoying it together is such a huge factor, because it will cover any missing parts that we fear that, oh, are they getting this, or do we skip this, do we do enough?
Yeah.
Yeah, if they love learning, it's huge. So how about your biggest challenge?
The biggest challenge is my own insecurities. So I talk about it with some of the other co-op moms, and they're always like, "You are fine," So, and I'm always worried I'm not doing enough science. I'm always worried I'm not doing enough history. And like one of the moms, she has a friend that they didn't do much science in school, and their daughter is on her second science master degree, and it's just like,
Wow.
but yeah, so. But we do the Stanford test at the end of the school year, and I do that more for my own peace of mind. If she does well on that, then I'm covering what they say needs to be done for school, and then we're going above and beyond that. So
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And I've heard other moms say, "Oh, well, you were a teacher, so you must know." And I'm thankful for all my experience in teaching. I think it probably gave me a love for teaching. But homeschooling is very different than teaching. And some of the best homeschoolers I have met have not had teaching experiences. And they just love their kids. They love to learn. And they're just really, really doing well. And I've gone to some of them myself and, asked questions or, wanted to bounce ideas off of them, because they've been inspiring to me to just watch how they do it. And but I think I can agree with you. I think all moms struggle with that, because you feel like everything comes back to you. If they're struggling with something, well, it must be my fault, or maybe I didn't do it right, or maybe we didn't do enough. And I think that is pretty common. I can relate. I mean, I have felt that way. And, when my kids are having a hard time with things, I think, well, what am I doing wrong? And
yeah,
truthfully, if they were in school, they would have struggles, but we wouldn't be blaming ourselves.
yeah,
It's normal to have difficulties as you grow and as you're learning. And we just tend to be really hard on ourselves as moms, I think. And like you said, need to give each other more grace.
yeah.
Yeah. So you and Darren have some unique hobbies, and this just interests me. And maybe it seems kind of everyday and common to you, but I just watch some of the things that you post on Facebook. And can you just tell us about some of your hobbies and some of the things that you guys
Sure. I just started beekeeping this year, so I'm really enjoying it. I have 2 hives. I go out about once a week and I check on them. I put my gear on and take my hive tool out there and open them up, and I check for my queen and make sure she's laying like she should be. And I had 2 hives that I had gotten in the spring. I killed one right away because it was still getting cold at night, and I let them get too cold. And so I had 1 hive, and then that hive was crazy. And so I ended up being big enough that I could do a split from that hive. So this being my first year with COVID and everything was even made it a new experience, a unique experience, because I couldn't just call up someone from my bee club and be like, hey, can you come look at this with me? Come do my first inspection with me. So it was a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of reading, but I did attend the bee club for almost a year and a half before I got my first bees. I went out to other beekeepers' houses and saw their yards and all that. So a lot of the members are like, you know, for a newbie, you know a lot already, you know, because you kind of did it right. but yeah, we just had a bee meeting last night. So,
Have you ever got?
I actually got my first sting last week. So I'm not allergic, but I think I'm sensitive. So I have like a big spot on my thigh right now that is still red and itchy. But and I know that's a big concern for people with beekeeping, you know, the stinging, but it's 99% of the time it's because you've done something wrong, because the bees know that they're going to die if they sting you. But yeah, so I don't know. I might have been going through it too fast because we were leaving that day to go camping. And so it was probably something like that. So they could sense my impatience or whatever to get through it. And that kind of aggravated them a little bit.
Yeah.
So,
do you eat any of the honey?
This year I won't, because they had empty frames this year. So this summer they built out the comb and are just now filling it with honey, where next year they'll have the comb already in the spring. And so when they start bringing pollen and stuff, they'll be able to start making honey sooner because they're not having to build that comb up. So next fall I will plan to. And then I have 8 frame hives that are mediums, which might not mean a lot to people, but that can weigh 30 to 40 pounds when it's full of honey. The deeps, which are the original hives, are deeps and they're 10 frame, and those can weigh up to 80 pounds full. But even out of a 40-pound hive like I'll still get about 10 quarts of honey per box, and each hive will have at least 2 boxes on it. So with 2 hives, that's looking at, 40 quarts of honey. So, and I mean, we go through a quart or 2 maybe in a year. So people will be getting honey for gifts forever. So, but,
are you going to sell it?
Huh?
What will you do with all of it? Will you sell it?
I'm sure within our co-op, quite a few of the moms use honey and stuff. So I'm sure if I started selling it, we have a couple of moms that sell eggs and things like that within the co-op. So.
Oh, wow.
And then our local health food store really doesn't have a local honey source, even though there's lots of local honey. And I've talked to them about that, and they said, yeah, there's a lot of interest. So I don't know why they don't carry local honey if they have people asking about it. So, we'll see.
I'm sure that Zoey has probably learned a ton just watching what you're doing. And
she's getting braver. She does have her own bee suit. I got it for Christmas for her. I have just a jacket that I put with a hood on, and hers is like a full bodysuit. But she gets so hot, and so putting that suit on then when it's the middle of summer, she hates it. And then, but come fall when it cools off, I think she'll come out with me more. She's proud of herself for just getting braver to go up to the fence, and if she has friends over, she goes over and she shows them the bees and things. So, but yeah.
Really neat. I'm kind of embarrassed about this, but I am terribly afraid of bees. Like I can hit bugs, bees. But
we have people in our club that are actually allergic to bees, and they still keep them. But yeah,
they must love honey.
Well, and I'm sure they probably have the full getup, since they are allergic. But I mean, you can still get stung through those. But that's kind of another evidence of just how little they actually sting. As long as you're doing what you should be doing, they shouldn't sting you unless, I mean, you can end up with a mean hive. If the queen has a bad personality, then the whole hive takes on that personality. So you can get a mean hive. And if that happens, then you kill the queen and you start over kind of deal.
Yeah.
Put a new queen in there. So.
Huh. Well, I learned a lot just hearing you talk about it. It's really fascinating to me. I almost would love to do a little Zoom video with you with my kids, and you could kind of share some of the same things. Maybe we could do it out where your hives are.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. So I could set up the computer so it's facing the hives and just talk them through it.
Yeah. Oh, it would really fascinate them. I think they would like that. So what about Darren? Darren has...
well, Darren's a fish biologist. So he works for the DNR. So he works a regular Monday through Friday job. But this summer he has started training for a 210-mile bike ride. It's called Coast to Coast, and it goes from All Gray, is that what it's called? To Ludington in Lower Michigan. And they do it in one shot, so it'll take them 16 to 17 hours to do this race. I think they finish at like 2 a.m. or something like that. But he's training for that. So he'll get done with work and he'll do a 30 to 55-mile bike ride after work during the week. And then on the weekends, he's up to 150 miles now for a long ride, like on Saturday. And then he would take Sunday off, and then he would start his shorter rides again for the week. But yeah, there's been a couple of days where he's been out, and he said if he had to do it all, that day he could have, so.
And when is it? When did you say it is?
It's in October.
Okay.
And
has he been training for it?
Hi.
How long has he been training for it?
Pretty much all summer. He had gone out to Vegas, Las Vegas, just before the COVID stuff started. Actually, he was in Vegas when stuff started to shut down. His best friend from college is also into biking. So he just moved to South Dakota from Utah. But his friend has come here a couple of times. And just before we knew we were having Zoey, they did a 500-mile bike ride from our apartment to Sault Ste. Marie and back, which was about 500 miles. And they did it over about 4 days of biking out of a full week due to rain and wind and stuff like that. But yeah, we've been out to Utah when he lived there, and they rode bikes. He shipped his bike to Nevada, and they rode around in the desert out there. But yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing your life with us and sharing your homeschooling story. I really think this is going to be encouraging to a lot of people. And the thing that I think is most encouraging is how unique each family is, and nothing looks the same. Everybody does it differently, and it's just a learning experience in itself, just seeing what each family does and how things work for them, and some of the unique hobbies and interests and ways of doing things.
Yeah, there's no right way or wrong way.
There's not
really to homeschool, so every family's unique. So.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Lauree. I really, really enjoyed this interview, and I appreciate you sharing with everyone that's going to be watching. So thank you.
Sure. So thank you.